It's as close to time travel as we're gonna get. This Week in Music History with Marty Miller.
Hello there, how are you? This is the little podcast that always in less than 10 minutes goes through as many decades as we need to go through a week of music history. Did I mention it's always less than 10 minutes? So let's get into the week, September 22nd to September 26th. In 1977, David Bowie is on the hunt for a new guitar player for a track that only becomes one of his biggest.
It was Brian Eno calling from Berlin. He said, "Hang on, I'm here with David Bowie, I'll pass you over."
We said goodbye this week to Led Zeppelin drummer John Bonham. Oh, what a waste. This is John Paul Jones of Sept.
When I first played with Bonzo, I immediately knew, because there's a lot of guitarists and there's a lot of singers. There are less bass players and there aren't that many drummers who are really good.
And Liam Gallagher in 1999 this week gets hauled at Heathrow Airport for import duties. Listen, I'm sure he talked his way out of it because he's a great man with the words.
I mean, you go, yeah, I want to drink this now, not in 20 years' time, you know what I mean?
This Week in Music History with Marty Miller.
1990 is where we'll start, though, when Nirvana played their biggest gig to date, when they appeared at the Motorsports International Garage in Seattle. 15,000 people were in the room that night, and watching them was Dave Grohl, who would audition for the band in the coming days and end up as Nirvana's drummer. But here's how they sounded on stage that night. In 1968, they say Jim Morrison of The Doors came to visit the Beatles in the studio in London and watch them recording. Now, it's said that John Lennon would later sing in Happiness is a Warm Gun the lyrics, "Like a lizard on a window pane." Now, you'll remember Morrison was known as the Lizard King.
She's well acquainted with the touch of the velvet hand, like a lizard on a window pane.
This week in 1977, David Bowie gave the world Heroes as a single, co-written by David Bowie and Brian Eno. The track featured King Crimson's guitarist Robert Fripp. And of course, this song has become one of Bowie's signature tunes. Here's Robert remembering the time he gets the call.
It was Brian Eno calling from Berlin. He said, "Hang on, I'm here with David Bowie, I'll pass you over." And David Bowie said to me, "Do you think you can play some hairy rock and roll guitar?" I said, "Well, I haven't played guitar for a while. I'm not sure, but if you're prepared to take the risk, so am I." Shortly afterwards, a first-class ticket arrived on Lufthansa to Germany.
Back to some more John Lennon, this time in 1969 when John recorded the track Cold Turkey with Eric Clapton and Ringo Starr, Klaus Voormann and of course Yoko. Did you know that apparently John Lennon presented this song to Paul McCartney as a potential Beatles tune but was voted no? 1980, Led Zeppelin stickman John Bonham died at the age of 32. He'd gone on a heavy drinking session. Bonzo was found dead at Jimmy Page's house of what was described as asphyxiation after inhaling his own vomit after excessive vodka consumption. Official quote. 40 shots in 4 hours was the rumour.
John Bonham, drummer with the British rock group Led Zeppelin since its inception in 1968, was found dead today at the home of a friend in Windsor, England. Bonham was 32.
Obviously, he'd been in various sort of bands and things before coming to Led Zeppelin. But with Led Zeppelin, it gave him the vehicle to be able to play the drums John Bonham really wanted to play.
When I first played with Bonzo, I immediately knew, because there's a lot of guitarists and there's a lot of singers. There are less bass players and there aren't that many drummers who are really good. And when rhythm section recognises each other, when you find each other, you go, wow, right, okay. And Bonzo and I immediately recognised each other as we knew what we were doing and we clicked.
In 1999 this week, Liam Gallagher was stopped by customs officials at Heathrow Airport and made to pay £1,300 for not declaring a fur coat he had brought in from America. Do you know what? Just because he's so funny, Liam, just talking about anything.
I don't really eat a lot of McDonald's. The only time I do it is when I've had a bit of a night and I'm thinking, we'll just get that Uber Eats in. So you get all your drinks in and you get all your food in and they come and they don't have straws. You know what I mean? He's sitting there, how am I going to get that milkshake down my neck without a straw? He does come round with his helmet on and I'm like, where's the straws, mate? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, Do you know what I mean? Do you want me? There's another one, coffees. You know, when they give it you really hot, you know what I mean? They nuke it, you know what I mean? You go, I want to drink this now, not in 20 years' time, you know what I mean? I need this coffee now, you know what I mean? But and it's like just going to burn your head off.
This week in 1969, across the small water in the United Kingdom, the Beatles gave us Abbey Road. Here's Paul McCartney on naming the album, because it may not have been Abbey Road.
You're making an album, and towards the end of the album, you start thinking, well, we need a title for this. So you're looking around, you're fishing around. And the engineer, Jeff Emmerich, who is our Beatle engineer who did all the great sounds for us, was smoking cigarettes called Everest. We kind of looked at that and said, Everest, big, it's heroic, that could be good for the album. So that was the working title. But the more we thought of it, we went, no, this is not great. And just one day we were in Abbey Road working, and I just sort of said, well, look, why not Abbey Road?
And finally, this week in 1981, Bruce Dickinson joined Iron Maiden. How do you think he sounded on his audition? Well, here you go. This week in music history, September 22nd to 26th. Told you we'd do it in less than 10 minutes. That is time travel. My name is Marty Miller. Thanks for listening.
Zipping through a week in a matter of minutes. This week in music history, the podcast.